Hello everybody, my name is Keira and welcome back to Keira Megan F1. So for today's video, I am going to be doing 10 facts you probably didn't know about Daniel Ricciardo. Now, Daniel Ricciardo is probably the most liked guy on the grid, and I was sitting there and I was thinking, what driver would be best to do this video on? And Daniel was just the first person that came to mind because honestly, he is just the nicest guy, he's the funniest guy, and he's the most intriguing because as much as we know a lot about Daniel, at the same time we don't. So I thought it'd be quite a good video to do if I sat down with you guys and let you know 10 facts that you probably didn't know about Daniel Ricciardo. Now, I'm not saying that all of them are like completely unique and you'd never know them, but I've done a lot of research on this, so hopefully a lot of them you didn't know and they'll be quite interesting to you. So before we get into this video, if you do enjoy it, please subscribe because I'll definitely be doing some more of these things in the future. What's my camera doing? Oh my god, what's it doing? It's counting down from 10 and I don't know what it's doing. Okay, so I just sorted out my camera. It was basically going to stop recording. So yeah, as I was saying, please subscribe to my channel if you are new. Like this video, comment if you enjoyed it and who I should do next, and yeah, let's get going. Okay, so the first fact about Daniel Ricciardo is that his first car was actually a Toyota. It was a Toyota Hilux, and Daniel says that he still has this car now today. I presume it's probably back in Perth because that's where he was born and raised, and as it's his first car, I presume that's where he had it. Well, it's probably definitely is where he had it. But yeah, he had a Toyota Hilux. Now, he said that with this, he used to take this pretty much everywhere. He would go camping with his mates. He said it was just such a good car to have for just everything. You could put all of your stuff that you needed in it. It was really handy. But he also said it's handy in the sense that he didn't get his license taken off him because he drove to the speed limit because it wasn't very powerful. But I think it was quite an all-round good car. So if anybody's looking for a first car, it kind of sounds like a good idea. But I think that's so sweet that he's still got his first car, because your first car, it is quite a big thing. So it's nice for Daniel to have not just got rid of it or whatever and got like, obviously he's got new cars now and obviously he's got better cars, but for him to have kept his old car and kept it at home in Perth is so nice. So the second fact is that in 2009, Daniel Ricciardo was the first Australian in 20 years to win the Formula 3 British title. He was the first Australian since David Brabham in 1989, which I think is amazing because Australia, I think Daniel's definitely said before in other podcasts, there's, you know, not many motorsport people that come from Australia. We can see that, it's evident. Everything's in Europe. Everybody in Europe are the big guns. So for him to be able to come over, do what he's done is absolutely incredible. And he actually won the championships with 2 rounds to spare, so it wasn't like going to the wire. We know that a lot of the junior categories do go to the wire completely, and there's like 6 different people in the race for the title. So for Daniel to be able to have clinched that in 2009 is pretty impressive. Now, we all know Daniel Ricciardo is big on other sports, and he is actually a huge supporter of the West Coast Eagles in the American Football League. This has been his team from day dot. He supports them all the time, and he was actually, I think he was their #1 ticket holder, or like their top ticket holder in 2015 to 2016. So that is only recent. He definitely is still really involved with them and wants to help them out and just supports them. I've just had to switch cameras, so if I look a little bit different, then that's why. But moving on to the third fact is that Daniel used to collect cork bottle tops when he was younger, and I actually found one in my drawer while I was getting my camera out. So it's these, the things that you get in like the top of wine glasses or champagne bottles. He used to collect these. Like every single time his parents would have a bottle of wine, or he'd be out at like a restaurant or a family meal and somebody would have one of these, he'd collect them. Now, who knows whether he's got that at home or whether his parents have thrown them out. I have no idea, but he did definitely collect these, which is a little bit weird, but at the same time, you know, I can see why a child would do it, and I can see why Daniel would do it, because he's definitely just that type of weird person, and that's why we love him. But yeah, I wonder how many he had. Maybe that should be another question we could put to him. So the next fact is about Daniel's dad, Joe. And Joe actually moved to England in 1978 to try and pursue his Formula 1 dream. He really wanted to make it big, and obviously coming from Australia to England is a massive thing, as did Daniel when he moved from Australia to Italy. His dad done exactly the same thing, but it never did fabricate, unfortunately. And Daniel said that his dad has always been a good driver. He himself has that perception of his dad that he is a good driver, but maybe if he had a little bit more financial backing, he would have made it. And it's so sad because we see it so much nowadays, where we have so many drivers in top tier categories that are there for their money. Obviously not a lot of them, but some of them are there for money, and it's so sad to know that it was like even worse back in the day, that, you know, we could have had 2 Ricciardos on the grid and that his dad could have made it if he had more money, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately. And that actually moves us on to the next one, which is actually that Daniel's dad, Joe, did not want him to be a Formula 1 racer. It wasn't that he didn't want him, like completely no way you're not doing it, but he didn't push him, he didn't like buy him a car or anything like that. It kind of let Daniel do it himself and build up to see whether he wanted to do it. And I think Joe actually wanted him to be a tennis player. I think he was kind of thinking of other sports. I think Daniel was always a sporty kid. He was always very energetic, and there was always things that he wanted to be doing, like activity wise. He always wanted to be hands-on. So Joe's suggested tennis, he wanted him to be a tennis player, but obviously Daniel followed his heart and realised that it was Formula 1 and motorsport that he wanted to do. And also, as we do know, or some of you may not know, Daniel's mum Grace gets so nervous before every single race. She really is so nervous, and I think that was one of the things that Joe kind of was a little bit afraid of with Daniel going into motorsport, and I think that's another way why he tried to push him away from not doing it. You'd see that his mum would get upset with the dangers, and it is scary. It is a scary thing. I completely understand where Grace is coming from. So I think that's another reason why he didn't want his son, and obviously Grace's son, to be put through that, because it is such a scary thing. But obviously Daniel didn't listen and he said, okay, love you mum, but we're gonna do this, and he done it. So the next fact is the start of Daniel's whole karting career, and he actually started at the Wanderoo track, and he was part of the Tiger Kart Club. They were his local kart club, and he started off with them. This was where he literally started everything. He didn't even have a kart. This is where he first went to join. Realised he quite liked it. So then after that, he actually got promoted and moved himself up to Formula Ford at the, I think, now I'm going to try and read this, Barbagallo Raceway. So that's also still in Australia, but that was kind of the first step up from him, and that's when he realised, oh, I can actually do this. And he did say in a podcast with Tom Clarkson, the Formula 1 podcast, Tom was like, when did you realise that, you know, this could be a thing? And he said, obviously karting was a bit of fun, like he really enjoyed it, he kind of thought that was what he wanted to do, but actually moving up to Formula Ford made him realise, wow, I'm actually quite good and I can do this. And obviously then securing a good position, and then after that he actually got a scholarship. So we're going to move on to that, to the next bit. So obviously after the 2005 Western Australian Formula Ford Championship, Daniel, he wasn't sure whether he'd done all right. Like, he'd done okay, but he didn't do anything like amazing. But he did make a big enough impression to score himself a scholarship for the next season's Formula BMW Asia Championship. And he actually went on to finish third then. And I was actually looking at the rankings and the standings for the people that were in that category in 2006, and I didn't know any of the other names of the drivers. And it's so crazy to think these people done just as well as Daniel, the people who came first and second, and you know, they didn't make it. And it's quite sad at the same time, but obviously Daniel shone. Now, as you're probably aware, a lot of the Formula 1 drivers now have their own karting brands, they have their own karting companies, and that includes Daniel Ricciardo, who in 2015 set up his own called Ricciardo Kart, and they are actually really beautiful karts. They've got really beautiful overalls and things like that. It covers from levels of 6-year-olds up to complete professionals at the top. There is really no limit to who is able to get involved. I think this is a project that really makes Daniel proud, and it really makes him, you know, think back to his roots, because there's so many drivers that can really get stuck in the massive world of the big top tier of motorsport. So to be able to sit back and really help the younger people getting into the sport, and I think this is something Lewis Hamilton has said as well, there's so many people that just fly straight through either because of their name or because of the money, mostly because of the money that they've got. It's nice for these top drivers to actually be helping out and setting up karting teams and really help the younger people come up, because at the end of the day, what, in like Formula 1 2050, these are going to be the drivers. Maybe that's too far. No, probably, yeah. 2040, 2050, these could be the drivers. So moving on to the final fact I have about Daniel Ricciardo, and that is for his love for LA. Now, Daniel Ricciardo actually has his own place out in LA. He loves LA. He just says he loves it because there's so many different things to do. You can either chill in LA, or there's always a live concert to go to. You can go hiking up the mountains. You can go to a Lakers game. Obviously, we do know that Daniel loves basketball and baseball and any sport basically, so I can see why he loves LA. And apparently his cousin also lives in LA too, so it's nice to have that little bit of family contact. But I completely agree, like, I've never been to LA, but just looking at it, it just looks like heaven. Like, it actually looks beautiful, so I completely understand why he loves it there. Maybe when he retires from Formula 1, that might be the place where he retires too. I know a lot of drivers will go to Monaco, or they will just go completely off the radar, but it's nice to be able to think that Daniel will probably stay somewhere a little bit more central to everyone, and we'll be able to see more of him. Who knows what he's going to do next. So there you go. There are my top 10 facts that you probably didn't know about Daniel Ricciardo. I hope you did enjoy that video. I actually forgot throughout the video to say the next one, or like what number it was, but they were kind of the things that I'd picked up through researching Daniel Ricciardo. He seems like such a lovely guy. I've watched him race before, but I've never had the chance to meet him, so I would absolutely love to. I feel like he's such a genuine guy. He's so funny, and to know a little bit more about him now just makes me love him even more. Like, how can you not love this guy? Seriously, like, he's actually like amazing. Please let me know in the comment section below, or on my Instagram is at Keira Megan F1, other drivers you want to see me do this on. I would love to do this on other drivers to see, because I've seen a lot of videos go around of fact files or profile, you know, videos on the drivers, but it's actually quite nice to be able to just sit and, you know, blurt some facts about them that you didn't know, if that makes sense. Quite nice to be able to do a fact type video on the drivers, just to give you short and snappy things that you probably didn't know about the drivers. So yeah, let me know if there are any other ones you want to see me do. And yeah, that is it for this week's video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. Oh, also, before I go, I have a really exciting video coming up. I'm off on holiday to Amsterdam next week, and let's just say there's a certain thing that I'm doing there which I'm definitely going to film, because it's going to be amazing. It may or may not be linked to Zandvoort, who knows, but stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss a thing. Obviously turn the notifications on, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon for a brand new video. Bye.